I'm so glad you could join us at our house this evening. I just love Christmas Eve, so I'm so glad we're doing this tonight in the dark. Christmas Eve is such a wonderful way to bring the light and the green that I'm missing this time of year. And it really also connects me to my roots. I am just a little bit Swedish, but my grandmother, who was half Swedish, really connected to her traditions and carried them down the line. And they were things that just delighted us, so we've kept doing them. The other thing I want to show you while we're outside, if you follow the garden tours in the spring, you'll know that I have a lot of hedges. And this is a great time to prune your hedges while they just have gone dormant. So I want to show you what I've done with all those prunings. First, it was just a couple years ago, now we've been in this house 20 years, just a couple years ago I got brave enough to try to make a garland. And it actually isn't that hard. Those are all the prunings, many of them from our arborvitae, and I lay them out and I just run a wire around, and then I have that wonderful sort of arch that I can keep all winter long, just to keep those greens in my life. I just love them. I'll show you something else I do. We have a holly hedge, many people do, and this is a planter that we fill with different things through the year. I take it all out, and then again with my prunings, I just stick them into the dirt, and then I water it fully, and it freezes. And that holly will stay fresh looking and right there through all the storms of the winter, just frozen into the potting soil. You'll see on the bureau over here are even more of my prunings. I've gotten to like having this basket here on top of the bureau. And what I do is just take the red bow off after Christmas, and again, it just gives me that green I'm longing for until it comes back in the spring. I can tell you, I'm really happy, and you'll see through the house, that my holly has berries on it. So I lived with that holly hedge for 10 years before I realized that I would get many more berries if I planted a male holly. So holly really won't produce many berries if it's female without the male. So now I have all these berries and love to use it. So let's go inside. I can't wait to show you more about how we do Christmas Eve in our house. So welcome. I want to tell you a little bit about the house before we get into the decorating. Tim and I have lived here for 20 years, and we're really quite taken with it right away. It was a 1700s barn that was across the street, and in the 1920s it was moved to this site and turned into a Restoration Greek Revival by putting an end on the front and on the back. You can still see it's all post and beam. It'll look like it has a lot of plumbing chases going around, but those are just covered posts, and these are the covered beams. One thing that does is it makes the ceilings really low. These ceilings are a little less than 7 feet tall, but what we find is that really helps the cozy factor in here. So the downstairs is made up of just 3 rooms. So there's a nice expansive feeling, since you can really see through the whole downstairs. You'll see as we go around. But along with that, a snugness that I think only comes from those very cozy low ceilings. Well, let me show you a bit more about how we do Swedish Christmas. Not everything is old, even though it is, we do pick up a lot of the look of the Swedes, especially from Dalarna in the Mora area. So he is Swedish, but he actually came from IKEA. So that is a wonderful source also for all things Swedish, which are always very cozy. Here again is a garland that I made just out of greens from around our house. And if I find a nest on the ground somewhere along the year, I'll save it for that spot. I'll show you more as we go around this way. I do like to hang, again, greens from the yard on our sconces, and you'll see that through the house. That's my staging area for things going out of the house. So it's a place for this time of year to have some presents. Let me show you the living room. So again, this is what we do on Christmas Eve. Here we have, these are Mora hests, that is horses from the region of Mora. And overall, what I'm looking for is bringing in the greens and the reds and the light. I think we're all looking for that kind of thing this time of year. Certainly I am. You know, I just love green, and so that's what I'm looking for at Christmas. And it all is very much a part of the Swedish tradition and a tradition in all Scandinavian countries, perhaps many other places that are northern, is how do we get the light back from the summer? How do we get that energy from the other side of the year into this deep darkness? So I think the gold of the straw, these sort of hemslöjd, that's homemade in Swedish. This is a Danish pattern made for me by a Danish friend, but all of these little stars are homemade Swedish ornaments. One of my favorite books growing up was actually Christmas in Noisy Village. That is by a Swedish author, Astrid Lindgren, and it's just so sweet about all of the things that you can do and make and adventures you can have all at home at Christmas time. Of course, on Christmas Eve, we always have a fire in the fireplace. We do a lot on this side of the house that faces west, so this is always a cozy spot in the afternoon. I want you to see next to the fire, those slippers are Finnish. So that is what people always wore in the outdoor Finnish markets, where of course it was terribly cold in the winter. So you would wear those as overshoes to give you a little space before you hit the icy ground. What else to talk about here? Well, can you see a little bird? I do like to put birds and nests in these little green spots, as they would be, as I do find them sometimes in our hedges. And then we have little critters that we have had and that I bring out Christmas after Christmas. Here we have our Christmas stockings. I mean, these I had such a fun time making when our daughter was young, so that we would all have a new family tradition. So this was a time when we were all really following Martha Stewart, and she had this pattern. This is wool felt, and I had such a good time making these. So I want to show you another fun thing that I do. I love this trick for flower arranging all year long, not just at Christmas. So this is actually a basket that was designed to carry milk bottles, and you definitely can find them at Brimfield, that kind of place. This one, I don't have the milk bottles anymore. So these are just filled with tennis ball cans, and it's just an easy structure to arrange in, but I also use this if I'm picking flowers. It holds them up beautifully. But it's great. It's a great fun piece to use at Christmas too. Follow me and I'll show you our tree. So there are a few things that we do that are a little different with our tree. One is we really look for a tree that is quite open like this, so that we can put our ornaments really into the middle. I mean, I think that's a family thing I did growing up, but I really like the magic of being able to look through it and find my ornaments sort of layered on top of each other and hanging directly down from the branches in a natural sort of way. What we really love and we just have lost our source since our friend sold their meadow, is a white pine tree that can be really funky and different looking and very open. So this is the closest we can come from cut your own place. It lets you do a lot of wonderful things. I mean, you can look at it from here, but you can also even, I mean, this is my husband's mother's tradition. She would get all the children together and they would lie under the tree. And we still all just love doing that. You can try it with your tree. It's just so wonderful to look up again through the branches at all your ornaments from over the years, and also just up through the green. As you do, I guess I'm always just trying to bring back a little feeling of summer, and this does it for me. So a little bit more about the placement of the tree. When we moved here, we noticed that there were these windows were on a busy corner. So we did it so that the tree would line up with the windows so you could see it from outside. But also, I really love to dance around the tree. So my daughter's 18 now, so I don't have a buddy to do it with. So it's been a few years, but I just love having the space to, whether it's dancing around or walking around, just really enjoying the whole tree and having a lot of space for all of my things. I'll tell you about some of the things because I love to make Christmas tree ornaments. First, a star like this is so easy to make. And there's the big one on top, but there also are these dotted around the tree. It is just like making a snowflake. It's just that accordion fold, and then you're cutting the edges and cutting something out of the middle. And then you have something like that. And then it's a look, of course, this hemschloid homemade look that is Scandinavian. So that this is a Scandinavian star that a friend made for me. This is handmade just by stapling ribbons together. And then I also remember, oh yeah, I made that for Tim's and my first tree together. That kind of thing. When you make it yourself somehow, for me, it brings back the memories more deeply. I like to have a lot of different things, different memories, but then also some sort of things that tie it all together. And these little red vellum hearts do that for me. I've put them at the end of the branches all over the tree, and they bring back to me, I think this was Tim's and my first Christmas together. And I was working as a designer, and colored vellum was all the rage. We had a lot of it in the office, so I made those hearts at that point. There also are some really fun ornaments to make with children, young children. This was my daughter's hand, and there's some others like that. They all came out of one book that I know, that I just checked, it's still in print. This is such a cute one from the book. That is her. This is how she drew faces when her foot was that size and her hand was this size, probably 5 or 6, something like that. So, yeah, it just, there are lots and lots of familiar friends and things that we have all three made over the years. The book that I use, and I'll just show you because it really was so useful at that time, is this one. So I know I just checked that it's still available. All right. Then as we go along this back wall, well, first I'll show you my friend. So when the tree isn't in this space, this is always our flex space for practicing instruments or doing yoga. So Flavel Harrison, my ancestor, keeps me company as I'm doing all of that. And then, especially on Christmas, I like to find things that relatives have used, and these are pieces from my grandmother's tea set, so I can polish those up for Christmas. This is a project for me coming. These are all those paper white bulbs that I'll use to keep the green going in my life and my friends' lives through the winter. As we go along here, well, these are Swedish pillows, Swedish weaving, hemslöjd again, and some baby cups from the family. This was my mother's. This says 1895, that was my grandmother's. Just some of our favorite pictures, and more promise with these amaryllis bulbs. Just for me, it's like looking toward the time of growth, looking towards some stirring in the earth. I mean, I love these in part because I can smell the earth around the bulb. I always love that. So let me show you a little more. So I just love cozy, soft things like felt at Christmas. This mistletoe is just a fun little something to hang in the doorway, made out of felt. I want to show you what I do with the front porch this time of year. I mean, 3 seasons of a year we love to eat out here, and it's a bit chilly right now, but sometimes we still will go out. I've used it to make this little wintry scene, and also get my paper whites going out here in the sun in slightly cooler temperatures. We also hang this star because we're on a busy road, and you can really see it. It lights this whole white area, so it kind of glows and you see the star out from the road. This room also gave me a chance to do a different sort of thing for me. You know, I'm always bringing in so much Swedish red, and I thought it would be fun to do something that just was greens and whites and tans. So I did put together a wreath that's totally different, totally new for me. Still that sort of natural outdoors look I like, but something new and fresh, which is also fun to try around the holidays. So come with me and I will show you what a Swedish smorgasbord looks like. As we head in here, I also want to say I do have fun, and we do in this house because we don't have a lot of walls down here. We'd like to be able to look and consider what a space looks like as you're moving from place to place. And that's what we did going from the living room to here. Now here, what I want to do for you was to show you just a tidbit of what a classic Swedish smorgasbord would be like on Christmas Eve. It's something my grandmother always did for us, and we have evolved the tradition. It's a little bit different, but really it is so nice for this deep, dark evening. I mean, a lot of it revolves around toasts and drinking. So we have our aquavit that we pour into these little glasses, and what you do is say skål, and then you drink, and then you raise your glass again. And it's such a warm feeling, of course, literally, as well as emotionally. So Swedish smorgas is maybe a bit like tapas. It's just you have these small plates, and then you have just the simplest things, your Swedish farmer's cheese, butter, lingonberry preserve, mustard, no mayonnaise in Sweden, just the butter, and a lot of pickled things. We do a really simple, just vinegar and water and sugar, just quick pickled beets, gyrka, which is pickled cucumber with dill, and it's something I just put together this morning. Those tastes, that vinegar taste is with dill is so fresh at this time of year. There's always a ham, and then a basket of dark bread and knäckebröd, which is that sort of hardtack that lasts all winter, and they would have hung up in big rounds in the kitchen in Sweden. I mean, this sort of thing, this sort of food as an accompaniment to beer and aquavit is really just feels just right to me. But of course, that's because I've been doing it my whole life. And So easy too for the hostess to put together because almost all of it is just picnic fare, really. Cheese and the ham is so quick, so not much cooking involved. One thing I do love to cook though are these peppercocker, that is ginger cookies. And I've made them my whole life, just about. And they're my father's favorite, so I always think of him. And he made me, let me show you over here. He made me this cookie cutter, especially looking like the old Mora hest, horse from Mora, and the really old ones, so that they make these fun cookies, but that I feel very sentimental about, of course, and just these wonderful family things that you can taste and smell and really feel this time of year. Oh, a quick thing too that I love to do is, even though I use a lot of my own greens, what I often will do is buy an extra wreath because it's just such an easy way to get greens onto the table. With a bowl right in the middle, I do this most years. And then, I can have my fun with greens in these sorts of arrangements. There's just chicken wire inside this vessel, and then I can stick all the greens into the chicken wire. Then they'll stay up like that. As we go along here, let me show you a bit more about these cookies. This is another favorite shape of mine. And this big cookie tin was in my great-grandmother's big kitchen. She did have 4 children, but this is a lot of cookies. So often at Christmas I will fill it right up, but that's the collection I made for this evening. As we come along, I like to show you, this is the boxwood tree actually that you may have seen or will see in the video that comes along with this today. Here's how it turned out with the little balls. I love to put it up on something and then put presents around, as I think you see in the video. I've changed it up a bit since then with this stand, which was my grandmother's. So again, fun to get out the old things this time of year. Another thing I like to do in the fall is can something. Make some apple butter is what I do. And so I've been doing this for years, and now I do a pretty big batch. But when I first moved to Concord, I just looked around for windfall, what had come off of people's apple trees. And my favorite trees were the ones at the Concord Museum. It's just a little bit down the road, so I could stop on my walks and pick up the apples that had fallen off and save them up, cook them down, and do my canning with them. These now come from my mother's tree, so that's meaningful to me too. And always nice to have just a little present, a little gift on hand. And I like to make things and craft, and that's, I think, part of my Swedish heritage, that I like to have that at Christmas too. So next to it, as we go along, I can smell this glögg. So glögg is a Swedish, I'm sure other Scandinavian countries have their similar thing, fortified wine. So it's red wine with quite a bit of aquavit in it. And we do burn off some of that. So I want to show you how it works, because it's pretty dramatic and fun for everybody as we burn it and run the wine through the sugar to caramelize it. So I'm gonna try it. And oh, there it goes. Excellent. Okay. So, oh, shoot. It needs a little more aquavit. Okay, let's do that. All right, So let's give it another try. Okay, so now what we do is scoop it up and pour it over the sugar. And what that does is caramelize the sugar. So you get this lovely, the Swedes love sweet sugar. We'll add it to the pickles. That's that simple pickle. And so this is always a lot of fun. Again, it's just adding this light and warmth to this dark time of year. And we just keep it going. Wow, that was quite a bit of aquavit we did end up having in this cook. And then sometimes Tim says, don't burn off all the alcohol. So I think what I might do is just see about tamping it down for a moment, see if that'll... I've never tried this before, but I think it might work, using up the oxygen. And it did. Well, the time's come to say goodbye to you for the night. But I want to wish you well the way the Swedes do, and